Now, this board, this area here, got to be cleared. These boards got to come up and the floor's got to move. So we need to get this service area in use very shortly, because we need to start putting some batteries in here, getting some electrics connected and stuff like that, so we can get some life on this boat, possibly some lights and stuff. But one of my main aims now is to get the aft cabin slightly clear as well, because I think we're going to have to get onto the inner wall of the aft cabin at the rear there as well. I think that's going to become important. Right, let's go. Let's get these boards up. This is one of my pet hates about this boat. It's got such a deep engine bay, and oh, I'll have a little story about some engines later. There's a couple in line and a couple got away. Funny story there. I don't know if I'm angry, mad, or I don't know, mad, angry, the same thing I suppose, or just gobsmacked, but I'll tell you the story later anyway. Right, floors up. Is these basically struts going across, they're going to have to be moved. This floor's got to come this way, but the main thing is the board that side has got to come out. That's got to come out, the rest of that board, we've got to look at cleaning that right up, and any rotten wood, what's in there. So, now look at that, you can see I've been knocking around a little bit. So we've got to get all this out. So, I can't do anything. I'm not even sure how it's even in there. I'm just hoping that we'll just chisel out. He's hoping. That's coming. Look at the back there. One bit. It's on its way. Definitely needs a plate. Right, watch this about the blue cable is our power coming in. Well, it's not, it's power to the back of the boat. Out. Lovely. Bit of run stuff. Boom, the drill. Yeah, the old grinder out. Take that out. Replace that, sand that can be veneered. But this is the piece which is going to be very useful. This here is the battery, part of the battery compartment. You see this getting the old blast, a little hole on the end. Why would that be? I have no idea why that would be there, and there's something that's going that way. Well, we can fill out when we do the other side, but here we are, we're looking quite good. Right, I'll clean this up and we'll come back. Seems to be a bit of bonding. This is what takes the time. Cables here, look. Vacuum and a blast, definitely. vacuum and a blast. Steps. That was going a bit too much, so I've incorporated a little set of steps myself. So now let's get the old grinder out and do some grinding. These off. Good. That's good. Clear there, clear there. Alright, see what we got. That's going to have to come out. This whole piece here will be replaced at some point. We just take it out from here, or even just take it down, so it's no good. Right, back to where we was though. Oh dear, okay. It's looking better. So I'm going to do the old duck and dive. See if I can get 4 more slots in here. Right. I'm going to have to take this up. I can't move. Keep the place nice and clean. So. Right, that's up. We need that bump one in, that's for our steps. Okay. Yeah, if you ever wonder about these boards are getting veneered, so I'm not worried about the odd scratch on them at the moment. It was just that the boards are so rotten, they had to be replaced. So, I'll definitely get in there. No, I won't have any chance, the ladder's safe. Right, I'll just move in this area. It's actually amazing how deep this engine bay is. I've got a little story about the engines. I've been, like this week, I had to take a bit of time out. I didn't stop, I was looking for engines and stuff, and I've got a story later, and I don't know if it's a story that makes you angry or whether there's just some sort of greed in the world, I don't know. But it's going to be a strange story, and there's about 2 engines on a boat. We'll get to that at the end. Now, we're going to crack on with this. No more screws. That isn't actually too bad in there. This is just a paint job. This is going to be lovely. Put the wire brush over it, and we get some metal paint on there. It's all aluminium. I think we'll do this piece first, because we can do it by brush, just to tidy it up. And I think underneath we'll spray the underside. We'll put some sort of primer on. But first of all, we'll get this pretty much down as much as we possibly can, and then we get it down to prep. Okay, we've got the whole thing taken down with the old wire brush and on the drill. It's now blast time. As this is a video being produced on a Sunday and being aired on a Sunday, I'll come up against drying time, so I can't cut any wood. What I can do is I'll show you what I've done and what I can do now. Obviously we can't move the floor, maybe that means cutting wood and stuff like that. And the reason I can't cut any wood is I've given it a base coat all the way through, so you can basically, it's only a base coat, it needs a little bit of sanding down and tidying up, a lot of welds and bits and pieces there. We need to look at these joists now, what go across, and find the right ones for that. We get a pen and we mark them. We get the floor back down because we can't do anything with the floor at the moment. That means cutting the floor, and that means dust, and I am at the moment running a bit behind thanks to my little delay. Where are we going next? Let's have a think. Floor. Get the right beams in, get the floor back down, then we head outside to where the vents are going to go. And there's some horrible plastic, horrible stuff up there we need to come off, and we need to sand that down ready, because once this is ready, once we get this floor moved and then boards, once it's dry obviously, we can cut them boards and put them in, then we can look at where the vents are coming through into the engine bay, and we've then got to run through to the battery compartment, which we still need to finish, but that's all finishing stuff. It's already started, we've already made a hit of it. Right, let's go back down again. Right, so where are we? That bit behind me is a base coat, it's just drying, so obviously at some point I'm going to put a shine, just give it a quick sand and put something a bit shine on there, so when you actually look into the service cupboard or service bay, it looks quite clean and tidy, but we'll have a look at that later on. I've just found the original ones for these. This one at the back eludes me a little bit. I've still got 3 more, so I've probably got one in the wrong place somewhere else. 4 more actually. Really lovely solid lumps of wood these. And so get the floors back down when we're heading outside and have a look where the vents are, and see if we can see what this horrible plasticky stuff is. That'll be our first job outside, I do believe, is you. Yeah, but we're not far away from actually getting it sanded. In actual fact, I've already been speaking to some people to come and give me a hand doing it, because it's just too big for me to do. Right, let's get these floors back down and head out. I'm going to mark these. So it'll be port 1, port 2, port 3. Look at that, upside down handwriting. Oh, I'm amazing myself. Right, let's go. Okay, let's have a look outside now. We've seen this before, but where these vents are, this is where the grills go. We'll now head outside and look at the outside section. Plasticky, I don't know what it is, but we're going to have a go at getting this off while we can today. And eventually what goes on here is these. I have 4 more to go in, but we won't do that today, but we will get this plastic off ready, leaving the wood in place. I mean, it's just awful, whatever it is. Still like a lacquer on it. No. It's on both sides. Right, let's crack on. Heat gun. In a couple of weeks' time, I've got some help scheduled to sand this down, and I'd love to get all this stuff off. I've got both sides to do. Whatever possesses someone to stick this rubbish on a boat. I mean, it's ridiculous. Tape, you know. I don't know. Right, I'm going to bring you back. Maybe. Anyway, while I'm doing this, I'll tell you this little story about this boat. Now, I did see a boat on the internet, and it was, to be honest, I'll tell you the price. It was £4,000. But inside this boat was two Ford 2.5 diesel Maritised engines, and I like Fords. I like Ford engines. They're very reliable. They're easy to work on. The parts are available all over the world. It doesn't matter where you are. And there was 120 brake horsepower or something like that. They're decent engines, but it didn't say too much about if they actually worked. But the pictures look good. I can't put the pictures up, which I'll tell you why in a second, because it's still up for sale, I do believe, and I think I might annoy the bloke. But anyway, it wasn't too far. It was in St Ives near Cambridge in England, and I spoke to him on the phone, and he said, yeah, I'll pop in. I'm around that way, so I said, yeah, I'll drop in and have a look. So I did. I went in and had a look, and nice enough guy. And I said to him, what's with the engines? He said the engines run perfect. He said there's two hydraulic gearboxes that work lovely, but they're on outdrive, so it's very similar setup to the Marksman. It's got two hydraulic gearboxes in the engine bay, and it's got the outdrives on the back, and which are fixed into either forward and reverse, depending on what you choose, obviously. And I thought, well, that'll work for me. And so I said, are you set on the price at 4? And he went, oh yeah. He says, I said, would you take a deal at 3.6? And that's what exactly what I said. I'm not lying. And he went, yeah, I'd do that. So I thought, well, I've got myself a set of engines here. I don't know 100%. He seemed genuine. I'd had a look at them, and I thought, well, they look all right, and they look maintained, and the oil was clean, and I'm thinking, yeah, I like these. And anyway, I said to him, we shook hands on it, and I said to him, right, will the guy in the yard want to have something to lift the engines out with? And it was, you know, will it be okay with me doing that here? And he said, yeah, that'd be fine, but why would you want to take the engines out? And I said, well, I want the engines and not the boat. And to be honest, the boat was a mess, an absolute mess. It was all done in cheap wood and cheap rubbish. And it was just rubbish, and I didn't want to tell him that. But he seemed like a nice guy, but it was no good. And so I said, no, my intentions are I'm going to come here, take the engines out, and then I'll arrange to have the boat removed. And we're done, and I'll sort you out, you know, you'll get paid for your boat, job done. He went, no, he says, that's a different deal. And I said, why would it be a different deal? And he said, because the engines are worth more. And I said, but the engines are in the boat. Done. You know, and he went, yeah, but it's different if you're just buying the engines. And I said, no, the engines are in the boat. I'm buying the boat with the engines in the boat. And he was, no, it doesn't work like that. And I said, it does work like that. I said, this is it, we've shook on it, that's it, the deal's done. He says, no, he says they're worth more. I said, well, what do you think they're worth then? He says, well, about 5,000. And I went, no. I said, no, you've shook on it. I said, that's it, it's done. He said, oh no, he says, oh, well, I'm not having it. And I went, all right then, so that was it, so I left it. And I come away, and I thought, I don't know, I don't like to be insulting to anybody, but I just found that it's really, really stupid. And then I see it, because it was on Facebook Marketplace. I see it later on in the day, and he put the price up to 7,000, and the next day he took it down. And boat's still there. I'll just wait for the phone call, but unfortunately, that ain't going to happen now. Here, a bit more gone, because I've got my eye on actually 4 engines. I'm actually looking at 2 more, and I've got another possible 2, which is very, very local to where I am standing right now. I can't go too much into them, but yeah, some people, it takes many people to make this world, doesn't it? And yeah, that's, I don't know. Right, back to the real world, eh? Plastic tape. There's a bit of residue left, but to be honest, now with the plastic taken off the top, which is pretty much gone, whatever residue will just dry, and you better put a sander over that now. And we do the rest of the boat, these plates will come off, and there's not much to sand, is there? I mean, look at it. So it's a Sunday video going out on a Sunday because of I had to pull off for a little while, but I think we'll have a little recap inside where we are, because I think we're looking okay, to be honest. Right, let's pack this away. Residue is almost off. The other side I think is actually worse. I might think of another way to look on the internet tonight, see if I can find something that takes off glue, whatever I don't know what it is. Never seen it before. Let's have a little recap of where we are and where we're going. Slight change of plans over the next few weeks. Obviously we're looking at the outside, and so hence trying to get that horrible tape off, because when it comes to sanding, I don't want people spending hours trying to get bits of tape. I want them just to sand and be done with it, so I can think about priming. So now let's have this is a slight change of the service area. I will get this on film as we do it during the week, but that needs basically a sand down and a little bit to tidy up, and a top white to go on, and then the board to go in and the floors to go back. That will then allow us the services through here into here, which obviously needs painting, clearing and whatever for the batteries. Now we look into the aft cabin, all this here, the electrics, we need to start thinking about moving these, because this little room, we look around it, there's a lot of storage stuff in here. We need to start thinking about getting this clear, and I want to make it into a galley type sort of sitting area, what I can use, get that so it's a usable room, which means I want to utilise a hot water tank and get the pumps in the next 4 weeks. I want the pumps in and working, and a little bit of water on the boat so we can use it. And that means the taps, the little showering, whatever we've got, we use for the time being, and that gives us a functional space, what I don't have at the moment on this boat, but we're not too far from it. Let's have a look at the main cabin. It's looking a lot clearer. We're now looking, we're coming together. Give me a light, come on. It's coming together. It's been a battle so far. Got some electrics going in, we've got some veneers going on. We've got more veneers to go on. They're walking down. We now have access to all the floors, and we have the shower room, which is taking shape. We need to get the frame still, get the frame in, but this board here, there's nothing stopping us from getting that veneered, and I have a different way of veneering at the moment, which I'll share with you next time, and to make life easier. And it's all about basically working with the larger panels, which you can't put them in a vacuum. But look at this, look, the wood is slowly disappearing, and we're slowly getting some space back. Okay, well, number 30 was like a live video really, because what's in this video has happened today, and I'm actually now going to go and edit this and get it out there. It's because I had some other things come up this week which I had to deal with, and so I haven't really been on the game, so to speak, but I'm back on the game now, doing it big time. And during that week where I couldn't get too much done on the boat, I have managed to source some possible engines, more parts, and some bits and pieces. So it's not been totally a waste of time for the channel, and so it's going to move on. Anyway, thanks as always, and subscribe, give us a like if you like what I'm doing here, and that gives me a bit of support as well. And it's going to be on Sundays, the Ocean Pirate, and now slowly we'll be bringing in some other bits. during the week as well. Not every week, but there'll be an odd video, the marksman stuff, other bits and pieces, electrical, mechanical, stuff like that. And yeah, there's a lot to come. Take care, people, and thank you.